general story of Dirty Weekend is it's a business trip that goes awry for two sales colleagues. They are meant to be flying from Los Angeles to Dallas, and they have their plane diverted to Albuquerque. Albuquerque has a special meaning for one of the people because he has been there in the past and had an incident when he was there that has kind of haunted him. Because he finds himself grounded in Albuquerque, he decides to run into town while he's waiting for another flight, and his colleague decides to go with him. So it's a kind of road picture, although the road is pretty short.
He did something on that trip that he doesn't remember too well, but that involved adultery and other things. So he's trying to figure out what exactly he did and also kind of find the person he did it with and maybe do it again.
She occupies quite a complex position, as do all his characters, in the sexual playground, or she has a complicated sexual life. The lines are blurred a little bit when you start to not just be conventional, not that anybody's conventional. I guess there's no such thing as a sort of distinctly female or distinctly male person, especially in our modern times. The lines are blurred.
It's a kind of coming-of-age story, but it's sort of a coming-of-middle-age story, really. It's a story about someone who's trying to find themselves or find some portion of themselves with the help of someone that they don't know very well. And it's a story about a man and a woman that's not a love story. They really have no intimate interest. Usually when we see a man and a woman on screen, there's some moment where romance flares up between them, but there's never a moment here where these two characters ever are interested remotely in each other, except as people, as friends. They start out as colleagues, and I think they get a little bit closer.
I've enjoyed Mathew very much. We've had a really good rapport. He's inherently funny, Mathew. He's like a sort of inherently funny person. It's been quite intense, the process of his character and my character kind of dragging this truth that comes out of his character, and then vice versa in a little bit more of a subtle way. But we obviously became very close as a result of the dynamic, and it's been a privilege.
It's the kind of movie it's great to have someone who has a natural sense of comedy, and not just a good sense of humor, but a sense of comedic timing. Someone who can take a situation and find the humor in it, but can also then find the kind of sadness and longing that a person at that point in their life feels when they've settled for a certain kind of life, and they wonder if there's something else out there, or they've had an experience that opens their eyes up in a new way. Mathew's great at playing that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think about it, and I was curious about what happened, but it's not me. This is not who I am. I'm not at a stage in my life where I can just start exploring things.
Alice is just really smart, just really funny, sharp, smart, and a really good collaborator. Kind of fearless, unafraid of telling you, that the script needs work, or this could be better, or, pushing herself, pushing you, pushing everybody to do something that's beyond what you set out to do. She's one of those people that I hope, kind of finds her way into a lot of the things I do over the next however many years I last.
So I have no business getting involved. We're colleagues. That's all, co-workers. Why should you tell me anything? I don't tell you anything, so why should you tell me anything? So it's fine, let's just leave it.
Nat, I'm not trying to be all...
And you say I'm secretive.
The real pleasure for me is working with Neil, because we have such a good rapport, and he creates such an easy working environment. And I feel that I sort of understand the way he works and the way he thinks. Also, he writes such excellent dialogue. I think he's very good at what he does, and I like being on his sets.
It's been a pleasure. We do a lot of work in a pretty short time, many pages a day, more than I've ever done. Lots and lots of dialogue, so there's a lot of memorizing and just a lot of material to get through. He lays it out very clearly and made it very easy.
Obviously, we work together again because we enjoyed what we've done before, and so you're building on that. I've worked with the director of photography now 4 times, and the editor 8 or 9 times. So I like to work with the same people. It's nice to see some familiar faces when you're so often changing dozens of faces when you do film work. Plays get done all the time, but movies that tends to be the testament of that story. That is the version of that story. And so you leave these images behind, and so it's a very particular art form in that way, and a very an art form that is very forceful. You're forcing an audience to look wherever you want them to look. On stage, you can look anywhere at your neighbors, or I guess you can do that in the theater or a cinema as well. But for the most part, the image is so overpowering. It's so much bigger than you, and it kind of forces you to look where it wants you to go. So it's a medium that I've always enjoyed. It's something I didn't start out doing. So I've always loved movies, watching them, but I think it's still something that I love to see what is possible and what you can play with. So I really enjoy working in both mediums. I probably feel the most secure in the theater just because that's where I started. But every day is kind of a new challenge making a movie. No matter how big the movie is or how small, you never seem to have enough money or enough days or enough light or something. You're always kind of racing against time. And it's kind of an exciting way to spend your day. It's always against the clock. And and trying to do good work in the midst of that is I guess the trick.